our YouTube channel. On today's episode of the Designers Now Founders series, we will be having Nandi talk on the topic Building a Business Powered by Community. As you listen, enjoy.
Just a few fun facts about me. So a few of the places I've been able to work. Some of the places that I started as a UI UX designer at a software company that creates call tracking software. And for them, I helped create a UI component library and brand guidelines. And from there, a container store in 2019. And for them, I performed customer interviews. I got hands-on experience with on-site observations and moderated and unmoderated usability testing to help improve how their customers shop online closet solutions. And I completely redesigned that experience as well. And most recently, I spent the last year as a UI UX designer at RealPage in 2020. RealPage is a software company that creates property management and real estate software. And for them, I helped inspire designers to lead with research by proposing to our executive team, that we provide the resources to begin usability testing our own designs early and often. And now I've taken those 3 years of experience as being a UI UX designer and the work I've done as the lead UX mentor for my business, UX Her, to leverage a full-time role doing what I love most, which is research, as a UX design researcher at MailChimp. And I begin that position mid-June of next month. So powered by community. So throughout my experience as a UX designer, I felt very isolated in my position as one of the only women. Extremely proud of the work being done at UX Her, and I'm excited for our growth over the next few years. I really hope this inspires you to build digital products that solve a real human problem within your communities. And what you can come to me for, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm available on LinkedIn. I also, every now and then, am on Instagram, Nandi Manning, and you can reach out to me at my email, nandi@uxher.com. You can come to me for business advice if you're looking to create a startup, to leverage that as an opportunity to get your foot in the door for your first UX role. I highly encourage it. Although coming from looking for trends and stuff made sense to me, or doing the research for that came really naturally to me, I did struggle a little bit in the beginning with my visual design. I had an amazing mentor who taught me to, in my free time, redesign flows that already existed so that I could still with different UI components. And he was watching me grow as a designer, but also kind of step into a role as a mentor. And for a while I felt like, well, who am I to be a UX mentor? And I only have so many years of experience space, especially, and all I'm doing is literally teaching what I'm doing day in and day out to people who have less experience than me roles. So who am I to allow somebody to make me feel as if actually proven that it's valuable? And I'm showing up, I'm doing the work I'm convinced to do. I'm waking up early to doing the work. So when I think of it from that perspective, it's that kind of takes away some of imposter syndrome, because I'm doing it. I would feel like more of an imposter if I wasn't doing the work, if I wasn't dedicating my time that I'm doing. So I feel like if you wake up as a designer every day, if you're logging the man hours or woman hours as a designer every day, assist in you as an imposter, because you're not an imposter. You're actually doing it. And in terms of junior designers landing roles, there are so many problems in terms of accessibility all around us. I always encourage people to redesign products that they use on popular ones that everybody's always redesigning. Forget Spotify, forget Amazon, forget Apple. Don't redesign those. Those have been done those have been done a million times. Redesign the bakeries down the street. Small business owners got hit really hard last year. So I encourage you to reach out to a small business owner and see if they have a budget to pay you to redesign their website. Then go ahead and take that opportunity to do a heuristic evaluation and improve improve the usability of the site. And then boom, that's a project for you to implement into your portfolio. And then you can talk about how there's your ability to be able to improve the accessibility and usability of their website. Those are the types of things that businesses care about, not only just the visual design, really move the needle in terms of their profitability. So.
I thought from your statements in regards to smaller companies that you can actually provide value to. And I think that really stands out for me. I think it's something I also personally implement or start. Most of us, we are always focused on maybe decisions. I mean, there are smaller companies here that actually need that value.
Yes, absolutely. And I love business. Like, even with, I'll still partner with small businesses because of, so I would, just do case studies based off of like real world things. There's another book that I want to recommend. It's by, all right. So the book is called Solving Product Design Website. But I always download a copy of his book as well, because these are very similar case studies that you can use to show like your design process that you can use to leverage a freelance opportunity. And freelance opportunities pay really well because a lot of them are hourly positions. So that's a great way to get money. It's a great way to get some portfolio projects within your UX portfolio. I love freelance. So I hope that answers your question.
When building a community, not everyone is what do you do to incentivize people to be active, or is it allowed to kick inactive members out? Some people just don't participate, they're just there or waiting or doing nothing.
Our members pay $12.99 a month to have access to our community. So whether they engage or not, they're paying a monthly bill. So the way to encourage them though, to participate and come is, again, I'm gonna sing this till the cows come home, is to making sure that I'm providing value. I constantly check in with them and want to know, like, what do you guys want to know? Like, how can I best help you get to the next level in your career? Checking in with them and assessing that they need. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. That makes sense.
Like, while conducting your research, it's kind of difficult getting, like, let's say your research for a particular product. How do you?
I interviews to start with customer interviews. So it was really creating questions that are going to identify some of the things that you want to know more in depth about who your customer is. So for instance, Nicole, who's interested in becoming a UX designer in the sex education industry, she would then create a survey based off of participants that she would need specific type. You'll find empathy for things as opposed to like, what's something that I've always found interested in. And this is the best example I have into that. Like at the very beginning of the year, everybody's like, oh, I want to lose weight. I'm going to get a gym membership. And then they membership only go once a month. That's like the best example in terms of like UX research I could give. Like it's a.
Okay, let me come in here, Nandi.
Yeah.
In our part of the world, to be very direct, in our part of the world, people, I don't know if it's the same over there at your end. People find it. People find it. But when we are trying to conduct research, we find it hard to get people's responses. Like you're fighting a World War III to get people's responses to either complete a form, to do a call interview with them. And it takes a lot to even get a large number of responses. Personally, I'm trying to conduct the research. Now, I was thinking of if I could get like 300 responses so that I can have something, a qualitative data, right?
Yeah.
But it's quite challenging. And right now I'm looking into like paid platforms like Goldfish. I don't know. Have you had any experience getting quantitative, like a large number of people getting their responses during user research? Probably like 300 or 500.
So the thing with quantitative research, the most experience I have with that is study testing. And 300 is an insane amount of test participants. You actually don't need that much. Especially when you're talking about in terms of testing out a solution that's already designed, like a prototype. To be perfectly honest, you are fine with like 4 or 5 people. but 4 or 5 qualified test participants. One thing about this usability testing platform that I love, it's called usertesting.com. They have an amazing way of like weeding out the people that aren't going to be a good fit for your test. So I highly encourage creating screeners so that you're making sure you're getting quality feedback from those 4 to 5 specific people, because that's all the difference. So if I am, let's say for instance, we keep using the such education industry one. If I am looking for someone who has been a sex worker for the last 5 years, but is also a woman of color, but also lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, like I have to get very specific about the participant criteria. So that way I'm making sure I'm getting a very specific feedback for the problem that I'm trying to solve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying we shouldn't lean more to quantity, but more quality.
Absolutely. Even if you're looking at quantitative feedback, majority of the quantitative feedback that I get back is when you're asking those rating scale questions or sus score after doing it's a system usability scale score. After doing a usability test, like that's another way of getting quantitative data.
Thank you, Nandi. Thanks for the presentation. It's been a good experience sharing. Actually, have you ever faced any challenge with after making user research and conducted the research, the UX research, then gotten data from the end users? Then after building the bots, people are not giving interest to it. Like it is not like the data, the analysis done on the data is not really giving the solution after making the product. Have you ever come across such a problem? If yes, how were you able to actually look to it and solve the problem?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So during my time at the Container Store, I had the huge undertaking of redesigning how their customers shopped for closet solutions online. And because it was such a huge undertaking, like I redesigned the product listing page, I redesigned the product detail page, I'd done all this research, I had done all this usability testing. So before even being able to push those designs that I created live, we conducted an A/B test against the old experience. There were a new experience, even though I had already done things over well, or were not as user friendly, or users were not as quick to identify as we thought they were based off of our previous testing results. So because we decided to roll it out in an A/B test as opposed to just pushing it out the way that Snapchat did all those years ago and lost a lot of their user base, we were able to iterate on some of the things that we noticed that weren't working. So that's really important. Strategy is a huge part of product design. So knowing how to roll things out matters just as much as actually creating. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so jumping to my mind right now in regards to also user research. After conducting a user research and you've analyzed, you've gotten all the information that you get, how do you then transition that into like aligning it with the company goals? So the company, in most cases, company is going to have their goals that they want to achieve. This is what you use. Somehow the company is not aligning to that direction, possibly because of what they want to achieve as a company, right? You have the C-level executives trying to say, this is what we want to achieve. We want to hit this particular revenue, maybe $500,000 revenue and something, right? Mm-hmm. How are you able to bring the stakeholders, especially the executives, on board in line with the risk that you've gotten? This is what the users want, and aligning with what the executive wants? Or how are you able to convince the executive in line with what the users want?
Yeah, absolutely. So this actually happens way more than you would think it happens. So as I was saying, this happens a lot, especially when you, as the UX designer, or if you're the UX researcher, one of your main jobs is to keep the customers top of mind, but also like the business is the one paying your bills. So my approach has always been, of course, to go into every executive meeting advocating for our users. But when it really comes down to it at the end of the day, sometimes the executives have the trump card over you, and you there's really not much arguing you can do. And that's happened to me before. It doesn't matter in that situation. It does not matter the amount of but you have to stand on the fact that you've done the research, because when it comes back around in 3 or 4 months and they're like, well, why didn't we listen? Remember when you have to be willing to keep a paper trail for yourself to cover your own ass and be like, remember when I said that X, Y, and Z and and this wouldn't work because of this? You have to be very politely, I told you so, but all I did what you told me to. Does that make sense?
Question, please.
Sorry, Nadi, please could you mention the sites again? The one like as opposed to Drip. Like, is it Fiverr or Fiverr? I didn't get that right. And
Yeah,
also
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
the link for where you do your usability testing. Also the link. Those
Absolutely.
two.
I will add those into the chat. So I just added Fiverr. Check out Fiverr. Fiverr is amazing. There's another one called Upwork. I'm going to add that one into the chat as well. And check out that one. That one's awesome. And hold on, let me get back. And then there's one more I would also check out. Usually more senior designers are on TopTal, but it still doesn't hurt to try because you never know. So check out TopTal as well. And the name of the place where I do a lot of my some of my usability testing. Now I will say usability testing is really expensive. So if you're working for a company that's paying for it, awesome. If not, then it can be a little pricey. Another way to get some good experience in usability testing and get paid for it is to create a customer account on usertesting.com. That's how I also became a really good UX researcher, is taking other people's usability tests. So you'll take tests on usertesting.com for like Amazon and Best Buy and Sephora, like these huge name Chipotle, these huge name brands, and it'll really key you in on the way questions are asked to get specific type of answers. And that made me a better designer, and it made me a better researcher as well. So I would check that out as too. And you get paid. You can get paid anywhere from $5 to like $50 per test, which is pretty awesome.
Okay, I want to ask a final question.
Sure.
Would you advise one to pay a company to get data for you, like a company like Goldfish? I don't know if you know Goldfish.
What type of data are you trying to get from them?
Like run your surveys with them, and they are going to run it among their database of users to the specific people you are trying to get to. For example, let's say you want to get a data on UI UX designers. They'll probably have maybe a database of UI UX designers on their platform. So they are going to run my survey in their platforms and get result and then use that maybe as a form of data in that regard.
Yeah, so I'm a huge advocate for outsourcing if it's cost effective. If it's going to be crazy expensive, it's going to cost you more time than it would be to hire someone else. And I understand time is money, but if you've got the time, it's worth sacrificing the time versus the money. And it'll also teach you so much. It'll give you a different level of appreciation for the recruiting process, because there are entire teams dedicated to recruiting UX participants. So it'll definitely teach you a lot about that. And I encourage all of my mentees to be research-led designers, even if they don't plan on being researchers, being research-led designers. So if you have that, that's also another way to upsell yourself in an interview, having experience doing both as a junior talent trying to enter the field.
While asking questions during user research, is there a framework to follow?
Yeah, so there is a book that I have sitting on my desk right now. It is called, where is it? Here it is. It is called Notebook.
Nandi, share your screen. Let's see your face. Let's see your face, please.
Oh, okay, sure. I'm just hopping around over here. Can you guys see me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
So yeah, this is the book I have sitting on my desk. It's called Notebook for User Interviews. This is a great way to get started with your interviews.
Can you tell me?
Yeah, it's got
I want to put in
the book name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can put it in the chat, but it's called Notebook for User Interviews. It's by Lantern and Loom. I'll go ahead and type it into the chat.
All right, thank you.
But yeah, if you guys have any, hit me up on LinkedIn or Instagram. And I'm over in the UX Her community all the time as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys if you think of anything later.